welcome to this Maths Blast, which is for rounding decimals with one decimal place to the nearest whole number. Okay, it's year 4 maths, and you can actually use the concepts further on for bigger numbers with more decimal places, but I'm going to focus on one decimal place, rounding to a whole number. Right, recap on rounding. If we're rounding to the nearest 10, we look at the tens column, we ask the number after it, what do we do? If the number after it is below 5, then that 10 stays low below. If it's 5 or above, we go high 5 and it gets rounded up. So 344 to the nearest 10 would be 340. But 345 to the nearest 10, the 5 says you must go up, so that would be 350. Okay, so just to remember, 4 and below we go low, 5 and above we go up. So we do exactly the same for rounding with decimals to the nearest whole number. Now, whole numbers are numbers that just end with a unit. They have no fractions or decimals after them. They're just a whole number. So it can be hundreds, tens and units, or thousands, hundreds, tens and units, or just the number 1 is a whole number. So 22.6. Now, we need it to the nearest whole number. So we're going to be looking at the units column and asking this decimal number whether we go up or down. And the decimal number is above 5, it's a 6, so it tells the unit to go up. So 22 to the nearest whole number is 23. 22.6 to the nearest whole number is 23. 22.1 though, we've got 22, but the 1 after it in the tenths column tells us that that 22 has got to stay low. It stays at 22. What about 38.5? Now we've got 38, so we're looking at the whole numbers. The units column is the last whole number. The 5 is the magic 5, isn't it? It tells us to go up because it's 5 and above you go high 5. So that goes from 38 up to 39. That is a whole number without any decimals and without any fractions. Okay, now I'll just do a couple more examples of those. What about 99.9? 99.9, that is the whole number, is this 9 here. The 9 after it in the decimal tenths column tells us to put it up, but we can't go any higher than that. The next unit on from 99 is 100. So the next whole number after 99.9, if we're rounding it up to the next whole number, would be 100. Okay, and what about 34.8? 34.8, we're looking at the 4, it goes, the 8 tells us to go up, so that 34 rounds up to 35. I think you've got the hang of that now. Now, if you want to take it a little bit further for a challenge, see what happens if you're rounding numbers that have 2 decimal places into rounding them into whole numbers, rounding them up to the nearest whole number. So an example of that would be if you've got 134.25, again, we're rounding it to the nearest whole number, which is the units column, and the 25, even though that's a 5 at the end, we're only looking at the 2 because that tells us to stay low. So to the nearest whole number, that would be 134. Okay, so that's your little extension. I don't often do that, but I thought you'd like to see what happens when you get more decimal numbers than just one decimal place. I hope that was useful. Well done for joining. Bye-bye.